This is Colin Dixon at NAB 2018, and I'm on the Paywizard booth with Bhavesh Vaghela, and he is CEO of Paywizard. Bhavesh, I think one of the biggest themes of this show is, particularly with online delivery, we seem to have crossed a threshold. We've gone from, okay, I can do this, to, I think, providers now are really focused on trying to get a much more profitable business. And one of the ways they're doing that is by looking very much at the customer journey. And you spotted this and you've done some new research about that, right?
We have, absolutely, yes. We've been doing research for a couple of years now, Colin, but back end of last year, we did some research specifically in the US, in the UK, and up in the Philippines, and really focusing down on the customer experience, the journey that the subscriber goes through when they engage with an OTT service or a paid TV service. And what's really interesting about it is breaking it down where operators are struggling and where consumers are really frustrated in terms of that overall journey. You know, a lot of operators will focus on getting customers on board, but very little will focus on what happens when the customer comes on board. So when we looked at it, it was quite surprising. We looked at the OTT providers, for example. Consumers were incredibly struggling with the top three reasons. One was poor billing, which is quite strange considering how simple billing is for OTT. Number two was, how do I cancel the service? Huge frustrations about cancelling the services that they're on. And number three is, how do I contact you? Those are the top three in the OTT world. Now in the traditional pay TV world, funnily enough, they're exactly the same. You know, consumers were struggling with poor billing, because they're struggling with the ability to contact the subscriber, the operator, and then obviously, the third one, as I've already discussed.
That's really surprising. I mean, I would have thought that with OTT services, cancellation was not that big a deal, but I suppose maybe contacting them might be harder.
Yes.
But I'm really surprised about that.
I am as well. I mean, to be fair though, in terms of the cancellation, sometimes it is easy to cancel in a lot of operators, but a lot of OTT companies try and keep you as long as they can as well. So it depends on the mindset, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of if you take a traditional TV environment, there's a thing about churn, right? We don't want our customers to churn. The reality is we don't really want to talk about churn anymore, because ultimately these are just customers that aren't paying for you. So if you make it very easy for them to go, then they're more likely to come back to you. And so actually that's what the research showed. The research showed if you deliver a bad experience, it actually tarnishes your brand, and customers are less likely to sign up to you again.
Yeah, that seems like that's absolutely critical. I like you, I do not like using churn, particularly in reference to OTT services. It seems like customer lifetime value is much more important.
Absolutely.
And if you accept the fact that somebody's going to leave you, then you have to make the coming back and the leaving
as simple as possible.
Very, very easy, right?
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, we all know, we've seen the stats, and year on year it's growing, that consumers are having multiple subscriptions anyway, right? So in the US it was Amazon, Netflix or Hulu, plus somebody else. On average, at least 2 subscriptions, right? So customers are dipping in and dipping out all the time. So they want the ability to flip once they've seen their season, move to another vendor and then come back again. And if you make that journey very, very hard, you're going to really struggle to get those customers back again.
So it seems like there really needs to be a change in the way people are thinking about this, right? When a customer's not paying for them, they're still a customer, they're just not paying at that moment. It's a question of getting them back.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I think there is even a broader mindset change that operators need to think about. And that's the notion that it's not just about the content that gets customers to sign up to your service. You may get them signed up because of your latest season of blockbuster, but the reality is that's not the reason they're going to stay with you longer term. And there's been so much emphasis on getting acquisition. There seems to be a big hole between, well, once I've got the customer, as well as I do, you've got 3 months, right? You've got 3 months to get the customer engaged. If you don't get them engaged in 3 months, they're going to go. And I mean, how many operators are focusing on that 3-month period? And then how many are focusing on, how do I sell more to my customers, or how do I be more proactive with them? How do I give them the best experience at every touch point? So for us, customer experience is critical. It's a critical step.
Indeed. Any other things that really surprised you in the research?
I think when we looked at some of the other research that we're doing a year-long study as well, looking at operators themselves, and we're trying to compare what the consumer wants versus what the operator's trying to do. And what we found with operators, which again was quite interesting, is there is a huge focus on the acquisition side and looking at what customers are viewing, with very little focus on other parts of the journey. What was really surprising and not surprising in one way, is every single type of operator we interviewed said that delivering a superior customer experience was number one strategic priority. What we found is that the vast majority are just starting off on that journey. And what I thought was OTT would be ahead of the curve, but actually a number of OTT companies we talked to were even just struggling to segment their customer base, or even just struggling to understand how do they analyze certain types of metrics, which I would have thought they would be much ahead of the curve.
You'd think the digital natives would be
Totally.
really up
but
with that.
But they showed that they were still struggling with that, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, I tell you, I know you're going to share with me the data when
Absolutely.
it's fully available, and I'll be writing about it on my site, but I hope next time I see you, perhaps at IBC,
Totally.
we can sit down and we can talk about the full research again.
Yes, we can, absolutely. Thanks, Colin.
Bhavesh, always great to speak with you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
This has been Colin Dixon with nScreen Media.